of Lubuk Punggur, Gedong, Sarawak. 2 and 3. Thank you, Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak and all our distinguished guests on stage.
And this morning, I would like to share with you what are the approaches adopted by the state government to transform this sector, at the same time to add value to our strength, the Sarawak strength, in terms of land size, as well as the natural resources that we have, that can be combined together and to move our agricultural sector to a higher level. That is accepted by the market. At the same time, to position Malaysia and Sarawak in terms of food security. Now we are having issues of inflation, where I think that we have been importing food. So much so, the imported inflation has affected the life of Malaysian, of course, including Sarawakian. And we have to tackle this issue on a long-term basis. And that is why the Sarawak government is trying to identify what are the various approaches that we can adopt for our long-term interests, especially in food sector. So this morning, I just like to share what are the approaches taken by the Sarawak government. Number one, the land issue. You must have a ready land, equipped with the latest infrastructure, including digital infrastructure. Toward this end, we are building what we call agro-park. It's similar to industrial park, but this is dedicated to agricultural products and agricultural production. We can open up 1,000 acres of land, and we build the basic infrastructure, and the private sector can be allocated within the agro park 50 acres of land where you subdivide the agro park. In other words, you don't have problem on land. It is there, ready for you, just like when we start manufacturing of products in an industrial park. So what we do, we will open up agro park in various places, particularly within Bintulu region and Kuching, which is near to the port. It has to be export oriented, not only for the consumption of domestic economy, but rather it must be export oriented. And our long-term policy is Sarawak should be net exporter rather than importer. And I think Malaysia should be a net exporter rather than importer. As you know, when your currency is weak, as against greenback or other foreign currency, that will raise the price of food. And that will affect the whole economy, particularly in terms of food sector. That is where the Sarawak government feels that we have the strength in terms of land. That will become our asset, but we must manage it prudently and professionally, so as private sector can come in, they start production as well as selling the product to the market. So the first strategy is we establish agro park. Number two, we encourage anchor company. In other words, investor will be positioned and located in agro park, while at the same time they can help by buying from the smallholders the same product. So we have this anchor company that will be able to produce the minimum volume of food that is requested by the market. So the smallholders, the people, they also benefit by selling their product to the anchor company, and the anchor company become the wholesaler, and you reach direct to the market. And this way the marriage of private sector and the farmers as well as the government will be there. In other words, you are there and you produce it. You know, the method of producing it could be, Singapore is of course, they are going up, but Sarawak we got the land. You don't have to go up, but you just start your production on the land that we have identified as agro park. Number three is technology. Digital economy requires you to have basic digital infrastructure. And when you produce digitally, it is more efficient and cost saving. You don't need labor, but rather just a command center with all your devices and digital devices that is connected to your farm. Even you are in Kuala Lumpur, you know what's going on in your farm in Kuching. So what happened is we are going to roll out 5G digital infrastructure in our agro park. We have a plan by 2023. Certain destination area will be equipped with 5G. And the state government is going to spend within 2 years 2 billion ringgit to roll out our 5G infrastructure. And the state government is gearing ourselves towards digital production. All sectors of our economy, even your export, you can link up with your vessel or logistic, and you can plan your production as well as the logistic that is needed for you to send over to your market. This is digital infrastructure. Second is also the logistic, either vessel or plane. Sarawak government is going to procure 2 cargo planes for us to transport to the market, particularly Singapore, because Singapore is a regional distributor of food, and Singapore to Kuching is only 1 hour of flight. Perhaps what you can do, you send your product departing Kuching at 7, 8:30 in the Singapore store already. And then, of course, through Singapore or KL, whatever it is, you can send out your product direct to the market. Because sometimes food is perishable. Time is very important. And for that, the state government is investing also in terms of logistics. Actually, we have our own state airline company, Hornbill. They are now procuring or leasing cargo plane to facilitate the export of this agricultural produce to KL, to Singapore, or any destination that is market oriented. The last point that I want to share with you is the question of food security. Actually, for Sarawak, actually we are quite in a situation, orang kata sort of dilemma. We got the land, yet we import food. The same with poultry. At the moment Sarawak enough chicken lah. At the moment kita cukup. Kita boleh hantar pula ayam. Kalau di sini nak kan kita boleh hantar. Telur pun tidak berapa problem our side. In fact, we are also exporting our tilapia to Singapore. Every morning, we send our tilapia to Singapore. And now, I must share with the private sector in Kuala Lumpur that only 2 months ago, 70 entrepreneurs from Singapore coming over to Sarawak, also in agriculture. As you know, Singapore is shortage of food. And when you talk about food security, you have to have a very strong R&D. We have our Sarawak Biodiversity Center, and the place where we are going to produce, we have this berries rice. Swinburne University will set up what they call satellite campus to do research on paddy cultivation. Because as you know, Japan has 3 seasons rice production. Perhaps Sarawak can have 2 seasons a year, based on technology and based on new inputs. In other words, the whole spectrum of agricultural activities with the resources and land that we have can be developed. And I am sure by the year 2030, we are able to become net exporter, and therefore have the national policy of the federal government to have food security. At the same time, if something happens somewhere, we are able to contain the needs of our people, not to be affected by the market forces, except we are the producer rather than the buyer.